Today's the 16th of May, it's 2024, and I thought I'd bring you up to date with some of the news that's been catching my eye in the past few days. And one of them concerns the British press and its headline grabbers that they've been putting into the papers over the past few days, which have concerned Mallorca, and in particular about things like Magaluf. And one of them was suggesting that there was going to be a curfew even at 9:30 for people. It's not true, and some of the things that have been said are just wrong or a little bit twisted. So I thought I'd try and bring you up to date with what the true things are. Well, yes, there is a 9:30, has been in the news, it is a time that's been in the news, but it's about the time that shops are going to have to close. Shops, not pubs, not bars, not restaurants, shops. So at 9:30, any shop that sells alcohol will have to close, and they have to be closed until 8 o'clock the following morning. And this is because Calvia and the rest of Majorca and the Balearic Islands, for that matter, are trying to promote more responsible tourism. And one of the things they're trying to do is cut down the amount of alcohol that's being drunk in the streets. It's illegal. You're likely to get fines. If you walk up and down Magaluf, you'll see posters saying that there's a €500 fine if you're caught drinking alcohol in the street. So that's one way they're going to do it. The British ambassador, Hugh Elliott, he was in Mallorca just the other day, and he's been talking with all of the politicians and the hoteliers, and he's trying to promote responsible tourism. He's got a couple of slogans that he's been using. One of them is, "Have a night to remember, not a night to forget." Another one is, "Stick with your mates." It's a way of staying safe. But what about these new laws? Well, they're not new laws. Most of the things that are being talked about have been in operation for the last 3-4 years, and they've just been extended, and the extension now is till December 2027. So one of them then we've already mentioned is that 9:30 you're going to be told you can't buy alcohol in shops. The shops will have to close, and there'll be inspections. One thing that happened just after COVID is that they restricted the number of drinks that you could have in some hotels, and that rule is going to be maintained. What has changed though is the areas, and as far as Magaluf is concerned, which is the one closest to us, it's actually been made much smaller, and the zone that I've seen, there's almost no hotels actually in that zone, so I'm not sure how that's going to affect us at all. Party boats, they've been causing problems. They can be very loud, especially when they get close to the shore, and so they've been told if you come close to the 1 nautical mile, which is getting on for 2 kilometres, you can't have your party boats, and no picking up and dropping off in places like Magaluf. So there's some restrictions that are going on those as well. So basically the message is you can have a good time in Mallorca, but don't cause yourself a nuisance. And if you do cause a nuisance, then well, you're going to get stopped, you could be arrested, you could be deported. So just have a good time, but to have a good time, we don't have to be silly, do we? And when you see these headlines in the paper, particularly in the British press, it looks as though the Spanish authorities are singling out the British tourists, the British young people in particular, and that's not necessarily the case. It's other nationalities as well, and the British just form a big part of those visitors to the island. We have a similar situation with some of the German tourists. So Arenal on the east side of the airport is one of the areas that's been singled out in a similar way to Palmanova and Magaluf areas. German tourists actually have been up considerably this year. In fact, in the first few months of the year, there have been twice as many German tourists as there have British tourists. And that's encouraging for the German tourist sector, but there is some worries that the German tourism might drop off a little bit. So in Germany they've increased the taxes, and it means that each flight now is going to be taxed more heavily, and it can mean a quite significant increase to the airfares from Germany to Mallorca. So we'll wait and see if that has an effect, but so far this year it doesn't seem to have had that effect. Germany, of course, is part of the European Union, and they're not going to be suffering from the new entry and exit system and ETIAS, neither of which have got dates yet. There have been some dates put in the press over the past few weeks. 6th of October for the entry and exit system, but that's not confirmed by the official website. The official website still says no date yet. And the entry and exit system, the aim of it really is to speed up the entry and exit. It's going to be taking your photograph, it's going to be taking your fingerprints, and those will be stored on a database. It will also be able to check whether you've been in the European Union or the Schengen area of the European Union for more than 90 days. So that's a limit, 90 days in a 180-day period. That will hopefully, or should be coming in at the end of this year. That's what they've said. ETIAS, which is the visa waiver, that's going to be sometime next year, but again, it's one of these things that keeps being putting off. If I hear any more news, I'll bring you up to date and let you know what's going on. A bit more local news, motorhomes. People are actually living in them here. Property has become very expensive to rent and even more expensive to buy, and some people have turned to motorhomes, but there's simply almost nowhere you can actually stay in them legally. There is one council up on the north of the island which has now set aside an area and charging €20 a day for people to stay there. They can stay there no longer than 10 days. But the rest of the island, there's really very little in the way of facilities, not just to stay, but where they can throw away their wastewater. And there have been some protests in Palma, and we'll see if that gets any attention in the coming days and weeks. A few weeks ago, I actually went down to Sonderetta. Sonderetta is the old hospital, the National Health Hospital, and went to see what progress was being made with the work. And when I got to the part where the residence for the old people, there seemed to be no progress. In fact, nothing appeared to have been done at all. In fact, there was piles of materials there which seemed to be deteriorating, and I was a bit curious about it. Well, just the other day, started seeing some articles in the newspaper, the Spanish press, saying that the work has actually been stopped now since the new year, since probably December last year. There's been almost no work being going on there. Why? Well, the company that's been given the job is in the process of filing for bankruptcy. So, big scandal there. They've been paid lots of money to do the job, and well, it's not going to go. It doesn't look as though it's going to go on, at least for some time to come. It's also even more scandalous in that it's being linked to a thing called the Calo case. Now, the Calo case is related to all things that went on during the lockdown and the acquisition of materials, in a similar way as the acquisition of PPEs being investigated in the UK. Well, the Calo case here is about a particular person who's named Caldo, and he was apparently taking illegal commissions. He was a government advisor, and there's lots of news about that going on, lots of court cases going on, and the Sonderetta seems to have been linked in some way to that. So it could get a little bit messy here in Mallorca concerning this, and we'll see what goes on. Lots of celebrities on the island, and will be visiting the island over the coming months. One of the biggest is Tom Cruise, who's been cruising on a yacht around Poyensa area, or has been looking around, possibly with the looking for a location for one of his next films. We'll wait to see on that. But he's just one of many celebrities who will be visiting the island over the next few months. One of the things that I've been particularly interested in is the observatory. Here in Majorca, we're lucky, or have been lucky, to have an astronomical observatory, and on a number of occasions I've been to visit with the scouts of the school, and it's a really interesting place. They have an amazing set of telescopes there, and you can stay the night, or you could stay the night and watch the stars. You get woken up at various times. unfortunately they went bankrupt, and the place closed down with huge debts. Well, it sounds as though now they've got a new buyer, and it's been bought, and the idea is to turn it into some sort of a facility that can be used for tourists as well as local people as well. And it's an Ibizan company. It all seems a little bit hush-hush at the moment, but the Ibizan company already has a facility in Ibiza designed to attract tourism on a science scale. Well, that really is quite exciting for me, and I will really keep an eye on that one because it's something I'm very interested in. On the sports news, Real Mallorca, well, we're struggling down at the bottom again of La Liga, and while we're not in the relegation zone, we're very, very close to it. And it's all in our own hands now at the moment. If we have a win this weekend, then that's it, we're safe. But if we lose and other teams win, then it gets a little bit tight. On Sunday night, we're going to be playing the bottom team, Almeria. They're already relegated, so it should be an easy match. Nothing's easy with Real Mallorca, nothing's easy in football, and we'll have to wait and see on that one. The other news is that our coach, Javier Aguirre, well, he's going to be leaving at the end of the season, so this will be his last match at Son Moix, and then he will be off to coach somewhere else, I get. No confirmation as to who the new coach will be, but that will come, I guess, over the summer. So, a very important last game at Son Moix, and last game of the season following week will be at Getafe, which is in Madrid, and hopefully it will all be signed, sealed and delivered by then, and we'll know that Mallorca are safe. Here's hoping. And just to finish off, a little bit of a weather update. It's pleasant at the moment, short sleeves and shorts weather, 23, 24 degrees, and it looks as though the temperatures are going to be maintained over the next few days. There is a chance that Monday we could get some rain, but pretty much sun and cloud all the way through, and very pleasant temperatures. Thanks very much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye for now. It's getting windy.